This episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast is brought to you by our online shop. Right now, you can save 15% off using the promo code MONTY at checkout. Guys, the Aztecs lost, and we are here to talk about it. I'm very cranky this evening, but it is a Monday. Got to start a new week off fresh, and we are about to get all up in this game. So stick around. We'll see you back in about a minute and 20 seconds. Let's go.
He had a nice night against Colorado State, was 4 of 7 from the field. B.J. Davis with a three.
Nice little hockey. Your question, Rich. They're always going to have a chance because of Deion Thomas. When you have a terrific point guard play, you're going to have a terrific chance to sustain in the game. It's going to be a lot of problems for San Diego State.
Ball's loose. Hicks.
Got the three really well.
Thomas lob. That's nice.
Get himself going.
Bird the catch.
There you go.
And a free throw. Thomas. Henry got the three. Bird has three-point distance. And he hits.
Pretty soon.
Thomas driving in the lane. Long pass. And Cherry hammers it home. 10 to shoot against Bird. Thomas in tight, falling away. What a shot! Oh, goodness. Aztecs. An upset of Utah State earlier in the week, knocking off number 22.
With the flex in the huddle when we go out. Game time ready, so heavy in the focus.
Oh, welcome everybody to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. I am your host, Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego on X, Twitter, all that good stuff. And of course, at Sons of Monty on the same Instagram, Facebook, all of that.
I'm an Aztec warrior.
Want to thank you guys for joining. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button first and foremost before we get into it all. You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. And that's exactly what UNLV did this past Saturday. All right, enough of that. What's up, SD Sports Fiend? Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, another loss at home. Can't believe it. Some things got to change here, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, man. You know, there's a lot to get into this game. Aztecs drop a home loss to UNLV. The Runnin Rebels are running right now, guys, and we're gonna get into it all because they are en fuego, muy calientes. The Runnin Rebels of Las Vegas. And, you know, this was a game I think we came in very confident into our conversation last episode. If you guys heard, thanks again to Mr. Bill O'Rear, for joining us. Gave us some really good insight to the team and from his professional standpoint. And, you know, we were all feeling ourselves, I think, pretty good after that Rams game. Bird went off. The team supported him, but it was really the Bird game. I mean, he really took over that game. And I think with a dominant performance that what Bird had, you know, it's very easy to kind of gloss over kind of the team as a whole, how they're playing. But UNLV, you got to give them props, Fiend. UNLV came in and they've really shown for 2 games, back to back. They took down Utah State, the only team to do so in the conference. And now they took the Aztecs down on the road, hostile environment. Before we get into the good and the bad, let's give some respect to UNLV. What impressed you the most with the performance that they gave in Viejas Arena, man?
Well, I mean, just their resiliency to be able to stop the momentum when we started hitting shots in the second half, and they would come up with a big bucket of their own. Deion Thomas was a surgeon in the half court. He didn't shoot it very well from deep, but he was able to get to the line. That was a huge difference in this game, was the the disparity in free throws, and we can talk a little bit more about that and how we fix that. But they killed us at the line, 22 of 27, 81%. I mean, they got 22 out of their 76 at the line, and that was a huge. To me, that was a huge difference in the game. I think some of the refs played a part of that. We can get into that as well, because I'm really not happy with, how we were reffed in that game. But you got to give credit to them. Their guards really did a great job getting downhill. Those guys made a concerted effort to try to get to the hoop, something that we are not doing, and we should be doing more of.
Oh, slow your roll down, Fiend. Don't grab the 9, Fiend. Don't grab the 9. Take it easy. Okay. No, man. D-Don, I'm already seeing it in the chat. D-Don is okay. He's a very talented young player. He took over down the stretch, like you said. Masterful at that point guard spot. And, you got to give them the respect. The role players came out, hit some big shots when they needed to down the stretch. But I don't disagree with everything. I don't disagree with anything you said in your opening here. So let's get into, before we get into the bad, what were some good things that we saw from this Aztecs team in this game? Because, okay, they were down in the first half. And, I'm sitting there, I had excellent view in this game. My nephew was joining me in town to watch the game. He hadn't been to Vegas since before the pandemic. So this was a big game. This was a nice game to be comfortable in your seat and enjoy. But when we came out 5 straight threes to open the game, like I said, before we get into the bad, what are some good things that you saw from this team and in this game?
I think in the second half, we saw a little better shot selection, and that's because of the ball movement, where the ball was not moving as much in the first half. There were a couple of really good plays, and I pointed them out on Twitter X of some of the things that we did to try to break down their hard hedges on the pick and roll, and we did some really good things with passing and getting open looks, catch and shoot threes. So I think those are some positives that we can take away from that if we can continue to move the ball. And so that's probably what I can take away as far as the good in this game.
Yeah, a little spotty on some of those areas to highlight that were good. Mine would be Nick Boyd in the second half, right? Being down as much as, what were we down as much as 12, I want to say 13 maybe. And at that low point, the Rebels had their biggest lead, and then it just seemed like all of a sudden Boyd comes out and he hit some pretty big threes, took a and one to the rim, and you'd like to see that spark coming from somebody else, right? And that's what it's going to take if we want to be successful moving forward. So it was good to see some of that, somebody else stepping up and having a big few moments. But okay, all right. I mean there is so much inconsistency that there's not that many good things to really highlight. This was a game that the Aztecs are used to winning. Of course, we've been dominant over UNLV for a little over a decade, I want to say. And then having the win streak snapped, Fiend, as far as what was it, quad 3 or below games. It's 67 games, I think Ziegler was quoted in highlighting. So that comes to a snap. That's at an end, which is okay. Dutcher, if you listen to Dutcher, and I agree with Ka 214, you love hearing Dutcher after any game, win, loss, draw, whatever it is. He handles himself very well. He explains things, and he's tough about it, like a Rocky Long used to be, right? And he represents very well. But, it doesn't matter if it's a quad 3 game, quad 1 game, they're out there to win. And that's essentially what Dutch said. We're out there to win the game. And they just couldn't pull it through. So like I mentioned, my biggest thing right off the bat was the 5 3-point shots in the opening, 5 minutes or so of the game. And I get it if, I get it if you hit maybe one of those. I know, BJ Davis got one to go down as our first shot. But I said in our article, if JCJ hadn't hit those free throws to put some points on the board, I mean, Viejas would have been standing up and clapping for a good almost 6 minutes of that first start of the game. These droughts are they're kind of crushing us right now, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and BJ Davis hitting those threes, those came out of, they were catch and shoot coming from Farrell Compton in the middle, and just nice, caught the ball, shot it in rhythm. The issue with our shots is it's not that we can't shoot threes, it's our shot selection. We're taking way too many shots that are like in the middle of the tip of the spear, like 3, 4, 5, 6 feet beyond the 3-point range. These guys think they're Steph Curry, and they're not. There's a reason why the college line is closer to the rim than the NBA line. NBAers can shoot. Now we have shooters, but we can't hit 40% when we're shooting 5, 6 feet beyond the 3-point line. And this goes to all of our guards who do that. And if you look at the shots that they took, those first 6 shots, a lot of them were they were not good shots. And so we have to get better at our shot selection if we're going to, if we don't want to go into these droughts, because it's going to be hard to knock down shots when you're taking heaves from 28 feet, it seems like, or 25 feet or whatever. That's for when the shot clock is down to 1 and you have to heave it. That shouldn't be something that you take with 15 seconds on the clock, 19 seconds on the shot clock. And so that was like what was really frustrating to me, is that just our shot selection was terrible. And the fact that we really were not moving the ball a whole lot to move the defense, and we don't shot fake either. We don't shot fake and drive. Guy closes out on us. We don't. I mean, we could easily shot fake, have the guy up in the air and take it to the rim. That's what I want to see more of this team doing, is attacking the rim, because we are not getting to the free throw line. Good things happen when you go to the rim. You get more free throws. You get the other team in foul trouble. You get into the bonus earlier. We are settling for 3-point shots that we don't need to be taking. And I think we were on pace to, like, the announcer said at one point, we were on pace to shoot 53s.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. I think we only knocked down, what was it, like 9 for 28 or something like that. But I know at a point they kind of had to realize, okay, we're not gonna make a second half comeback with threes, and that's when like you said, the ball movement started to change. But to start a game, right, you would think the game plan. What is the game plan? How are you going to attack? Surely it can't be 5, 6 straight 3-pointers to start a game. If you guys checked out our article this morning, looking at a couple different highlights that stood out to us, there were mainly 3 that I had highlighted, and that was the first one. You live by the 3, you're going to die by the 3. Especially like if you said, and like what Coach said, if it's not, if the threes aren't in rhythm, if they're not clean, I know you already touched on that. When it comes to this team overall, and I think, the journey is something that is often said in hindsight, looking back at the end of a season, the journey, it's all about the journey. Now you're in the tournament and it's this, and the journey is like this, wonderful thing that you embark upon together with your brothers. But when you're in the thick of things and things aren't going your way, nobody wants to hear about the journey. Nobody wants to hear about the trials and tribulations and the growth and all that stuff. But it is the truth. There's a lot of talent on this roster. So many guys, though, at the same point in time. You often hear fans, take this guy out or sit this guy, or, less minutes for these 2 and more for these 2. And I see it all. And hey, we all have our opinions. But the journey, the season, the only way to get better is by logging those minutes on the court, putting in those real world applications that you go through in practice. Now,
And learning.
and learning, but you got to put it to practice. You got to put it to the test. The games are the tests. You're learning in practice. Hopefully you're learning in practice. And then the game is the test. That's how you perform on your test. Now, if guys aren't exactly performing well on tests, some guys just don't perform well on tests. Then obviously that's an issue, but you can only play who you have on the roster. And you want to make sure that the guys are going through these challenges and hopefully coming out on the other end, right? Because, you can't sit everybody. You can't just not play anybody. That's something that Dutch and the staff, he said it. We got 3 freshmen, 3 sophomore, and it's a challenge. They don't play like juniors and seniors all the time. That's their task, is to try to get them to learn every week, improve every week, but rather inconsistent.
Yeah, being a player's coach, you touched on this in a previous pod that, Dutcher is going to allow these guys a lot of freedom to make shots and make mistakes and kind of learn on their own, not sort of, chew them out and, get in their face and tell them what they're doing wrong and whatnot. These guys kind of learn through their mistakes and, with some film study, what they're doing wrong. And so it's a more empowering approach. It is a longer approach. And so it is going to take a little longer for some of these mistakes to be fixed, and for us to play more as a team and for guys to make better decisions, with the ball is basically what it comes down to. And we have some guys that are doing a great job at that. We have other guys who are not doing not so good of a job at that. And so it's a matter of this team coming together and learning how to play better as a team and, get quality looks and to share the basketball and find each other and, be selfless, not selfish, be selfless and get your teammates involved and get the best look that you can.
Now, one of the things you said, man, it was right in line with our article, was the free throws. And to me, right off the bat, that may be the best place to start as far as getting the offense a little bit of a jolt, right? Because your sets, whatever the strategies are on the court, is one thing. And sometimes that could be a lot, right, for maybe players to grasp or fully be able to execute, play in and play out through a timeout. You're playing against a team that's trying to cut your momentum, right? And then the refs don't help. We'll get into that. But that's a challenge, to go through all the different runs and to stay consistent. But the free throws, that's a mentality, that's a mindset that you're going to get to the line, you're going to take the ball to the rim, usually because that's what will draw the contact and get you to the line. So one of the things we highlighted in the article was the Aztecs are dead. Well, Air Force and Fresno State. Okay, these are 2 of the bottom feeders in the Mountain West. They are the only 2 teams that are worse than the Aztecs in our free throw shooting right now in the Mountain West. So basically, we are the bottom third in our free throw shooting percentage, which is, that's bad. That's just bad. But then if you look even deeper than that, the Aztecs are dead last in just getting to the line, not even making them, just getting to the line. So the point proven in the article was basically, okay, you're not getting to the free throw line at a high clip. And then when you do get there, you're not very good at the line either. So, that's a good place to start, is just have the mentality of all these 3-point shots. First things first, let's get to the line, because I don't think you're going to go very far in these conference standings if you're at the bottom third of free throw percentage and free throw attempts.
Which is really surprising, because I think we have some guys who are really good free throw shooters.
Right.
Namely, Bird, BJ Davis, Boyd's a good free throw shooter. Coleman Jones is okay. Guath can hit free throws. Some of the other bigs, like, you know, Heidi Compton, they kind of struggle from the line. DeGorville usually is pretty solid from the free throw line. You know, McKinney's, you know, he's okay. But yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be this bad, and I don't know. I know that they're like, you know, I don't know how much Compton, like going 0 for 7 from the line the other night, you know, against Colorado State really skews that. But the bottom line is we're just not even getting there, you know. That I think that's sort of the bigger issue to me, is not getting to the free throw line. Because there's a difference too, like when you're shooting 1-on-1s and when you're in the double bonus, and then when you get in the double bonus, then you get 2 shots, and that's generally where you get more points from free throws, because you're not missing the 1-on-1s, which sometimes happen, you know. And so, but sometimes we're not even getting there, like we're barely getting there, because we're just not taking the hoop, and we don't have a Jaden Ledee. We don't have a guy who's going to muscle his way inside and get fouled and get to the line. But we got guys who can really get downhill. I mean, I don't know why the ball is not more in BJ Davis's hands. The guy doesn't turn the ball over. He shoots. He's an unbelievable shooter. His true shooting percentage is so high. His usage percentage is lower than it really should be. That means, you know, how much he's involved in the offense. He can get downhill. He hits free throws. He has great, you know, vision. He can pass the ball. Like I say, he doesn't turn the ball. Why is the ball not in his hands more? I don't understand it. You know,
I mean, to start the season, it was very largely Bird, Boyd, and BJ kind of hunting for shots.
Right. And you know, that game against UCLA, right? Boyd was out. Yep. And BJ Davis picked up the slack, and he had that amazing game with the ball in his hands. You know, get the ball in BJ Davis's hands. I don't want to see him just kind of camping out on the 3-point line. Yeah, he can hit threes, and you know, we found him a couple times for threes. But if that's all you're really using him in a game, like you're not getting the most out of him. And so you absolutely have to get BJ Davis more involved if you want to have more success on the offensive end.
Okay. All right. I like that take. I like that perspective. I know you've been digging in some metrics and some stats and really looking at the analytics of things that, you know, of course, Mike is a big proponent on. He's studying under your wing. Peace out to Mike. Couldn't make it with us this evening, but hope to get him back on the next episode. I love this comment, and we're going to get into all you guys' comments in the chat in just a few moments, but I loved this comment I see over here, and it's from Soccer 96 Soccer. Only bright spot from this game was being able to get myself one of those bobbleheads, and we have Coach Dutcher two Coach Dutchers in attendance right here. He did a magnificent job. He did his best to try and get the second half.
Did Mike get one of these?
Oh, might have to make that happen. Coach, what did you think about the refs, the officiating on this game? I would like to ask this question with all humbleness. I think Dutch, you know, he's going to keep it respectful. I don't think he's a big fan of Mike Harris. Ref Mike Harris. And how do you say his name? Paul
Shelk. Paul Shelk.
Selk
or something like that.
I know the e-hosts down there in Section A are big fans of this ref, Paul Shelk. They were voting him. Well, I'm not going to say what award they were giving him of the game, but fill in the blank award of the game.
These refs were god awful. Paul Shelk is the same ref that swallowed his whistle at Colorado State in 2022 on Matt Bradley, which was clearly a foul that cost us the game, just so he could get a flight back to the Midwest, wherever he's from. I don't know. He's Polish. I want to say Chicago or Wisconsin or something. They're Big Ten refs that came out west and decided, you know, they were assigned our game as well. You had Paul Shelk. I never want to see that guy ever at Viejas Arena again. And then we had Nate Harris, and who's the other guy? Earl Walton, I think. And they're highly rated KenPom refs. They were terrible. Absolutely terrible. There must have been at least 5 calls that I saw in the first half that should not have gone against us and did. Like that when Nick Boyd was, they called him on traveling. He still had his pivot foot down. Are you serious? And then Farrell Compton, they knocked the ball out of his hands and they call it out on Farrell. And then Heidi gets a foul when he throws it off the guy's leg. And then they call a foul and the guy goes to the line and hits 2 free throws. This was the worst ref performance that we have had at Viejas, I think, in the last like 5 years, probably, at least. I mean, these guys make what's his name, Eric Curry, and all those, those guys we like to rag on from the Mountain West. I mean, these guys look like junior high refs compared to them. They were terrible. I don't want them ever coming back here. You could stay in the Midwest and ref your Big Ten games or whatever. Don't come back to Viejas. Sorry, I'm not going to be as nice and as political as Brian Dutcher will or is to those refs because, man, I would have just lost my what on them.
Would have lost your what? Yeah, man, there were several questionable calls. Like you said, the traveling violation. There were a couple weird things like that you just it's so either ticky-tack or just not even there. That you rarely see those kind of calls made. When Goon got fouled out, I almost lost it because I was such a clean block. There was a play where Miles Bird got blocked, but the dude came across his whole body and almost knocked him over. And dude, even the announcers were saying, "Oh, that looks clean." Like
it was like the entire game. It was entire game. It was like we were playing against 6 guys on the court.
Yeah, that momentum every single time. Now, we did say to each other during our text chat after the game, that wasn't the reason why the Aztecs lost. It's not a scapegoat. It's not why the Aztecs lost. But when you're dealing with a young team and you add those challenges, it just adds on to what we're talking about with the free throws. We're the home court team, but yet the treatment, it was so skewed that it felt as though we had no home court advantage at all. And props to the 12,414 who came out loud. The show was excited. Everybody was ready for this game. But it just seemed like, coupled with the shooting woes, the refs really were not giving us no home cooking at all.
They weren't even giving us a fair break at home compared to UNLV. It seemed like UNLV was getting all the breaks, and so that I just I'm no, and you know me, dude. I don't usually scapegoat the refs, much. I mean, I know it is a tough, assignment and job and whatnot, but these guys were awful. I never want to see them again.
Well, on that note, we want to make sure that we see you guys again in the NIL shop, sonsofmontezuma.com right now, 15% off. Make sure you guys are saving by using the promo code MONTY Monty in the shop right now. Appreciate all your support. It's always great to be down there at Viejas, and I was put onto some game by Holly after the game. She said, "Hey, you guys women's sweaters are more expensive than the men's. That's not fair. It's not right. I want equal justice." And so I made that happen. So make sure you guys are checking out the shop, the online shop, sonsofmontezuma.com, our NIL merch, as well as our custom products as well. Got our little commercial time in there. Oh, Fiend. So yeah, frustrating game at the end of the day. A furious comeback. Like I said, Boyd went off. Bird went absolutely off after not having really any points in the first half. I think he had 21 in the second half or so. Everybody started collectively, chipping in, doing their part. But like you said, you compact the officiating. UNLV, to their credit, they stepped up. They made the big shots when they had to. And the defensive lapses really, towards the stretch run, defensive lapses, Didon was he was incredible. He was lights out. He's in command of that offense. So what can you
Yeah,
say? What can you do?
yeah. I mean, you know, I thought our offense was great in the second half, and the defense just sort of collapsed. But what did we give up? Like 45 points in the second half? I mean, it was
45. Both
was it
teams scored
40?
45 in the second half, both teams. So, yeah,
We
it just couldn't.
When's the last time we gave up 45 points in a half? I mean, that's just really poor defense. I mean, I know that we were following them at the end. They were getting to the line. They were hitting their free throws, yada yada yada. But there were a lot of late closeouts, or one thing I just, and again, I don't understand why we do this, and it makes no sense to me. And I shared that I was a water polo coach. I played water polo, and we always taught, like, the guys in the corners. Okay, we call them the wings in water polo. You don't leave them. You don't ever leave them, right? We are leaving the guys on the wings way too much to try to stop a guy who's doesn't even have an advantage driving to the basket. And then we're in no man's land, and then they kick it out to a guy for a corner three, bang, he hits it. We're doing that way too much. We need to just stick with our guy and just man up one-on-one, and not play, cheat and try to steal the ball. I don't know if they're trying to steal the ball or what they're doing there, but we're getting caught in no man's land way too much. And then our closeouts are really late, and they're getting like solid open looks from corner three, which is the closest 3-point shot you can take. Has one of the highest percentages. So I don't know why we're leaving our guys in the corner. It baffles me. I don't know why we do it.
It's a challenge, especially if the defense get caught out of position. It feels like all for nothing. Make them earn it. Make them prove
Yeah.
that you need to do it.
Exactly.
That's our thinking. That's our thinking. Anyways, let's get into some of these chats because it's been pretty active in here. Let's see what DJ Dubs says. What really hurts is we keep giving up games at home. We all know how hard it is to steal home games in the Mountain West, especially in Viejas. The pressure is on now. Yeah, I mean, the Aztecs have been pretty unbeatable at home, and this year we've got these two from in conference play, and that really hurts. It does, because now we got to return the favor. We have to go on the road to Logan, whereas we've had our struggles there big time. Vegas has been right. Viejas east or north or whatever you want to call it for the Aztecs, but I think it's pretty easy to see this is not the same UNLV team from years past. Man, they've got something solid. They're pretty well rounded. They're not great, they're not unbeatable, but you could see the makeup of their team. They got some bigs, they got some guards, they got some wings, they got some good length. They've got a sharp shooter who's kind of a specialty guy. So they
had more energy.
Challenges.
They came out with more energy too in this game than we did.
Yeah.
My concern is that, like, these young guys and the transfers, I'm not sure they really understand how hard it is to get victories on the road, and how important it is to protect your home court in the Mountain West. As we've seen the last several years, I mean, it's our record is not very good, going on the road. I think it's above 500, but it's not as definitely as high as it is at Viejas. And what's also concerning is the last time that we lost 2 or more home games at Viejas. Do you know when that was? 2017. That was 2017 when we went 19-14. We didn't make the tournament. We finished 6th in the Mountain West. We had to play a play-in game against UNLV, and we had to beat, I think, Boise to get to the semifinal against Colorado State. That's the last time we lost 2 or more games at home. So that is not a good sign for us, that we are losing these games so early. And the fact that we're coming out and these guys just are not locked in. We're not, that the energy is not there. There needs to be more urgency, and hopefully this is a wake-up call that, hey, you're not just going to walk through the Mountain West on name only. Like, you need to show up and be locked in for every game you play in the Mountain West.
Bill says, what happened to the team that beat Houston? What happened to that team that beat Houston, neutral court, beat Houston there in what was that, in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I was there.
It
Yeah,
was
it looks like a different team. It does.
yeah, the ball movement for sure. But 45 points in the second half, it shows you what they can still do um, when they're on the same page and they're playing together. So hopefully that's a turnaround offensively, at least that those 45 points in that second half. But then you got to put it together. Got to put it together. Mikey B says our last quad 3 loss was against UNLV when we hung a banner midseason, Mountain West banner. To have a bobblehead night against a dangerous UNLV team is bad juju. Is it bad juju? You think it's bad juju?
I don't know if it is, but like before, when I was getting ready to go to that game, I thought about putting on my jersey for. I was looking at jerseys in my closet, and I had a jersey from the 2020 team, and I said, "Oh no, I can't put that on," because that year we lost to UNLV at home, so I didn't wear it. But yeah, there's just something I don't know what it is, but yeah, hats off to UNLV. I got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, this did not look like the team that got beat down by 22 to Colorado State on the road, or 22 at Boise State, or I think they lost by 18 at Creighton, a team that we absolutely destroyed. This looks like a totally different team in the way, they're coming off a big win against Utah State. I don't think we're playing, our type of basketball right now, but I think they're also a lot better than they were beginning of the season.
Andrew, what's going on? He says Chemo needs 5 to 10 minutes a game. He's been a net positive every time he's been on the court. It's something that we've said on the show recently. The 2 times Dutch kind of needed to make some changes early in the game. He brought Chemo in, and it made a difference. Just the energy. Mike mentioned how he hit that clutch 3 against Colorado State in the corner. That seemed to really get the crowd on your side, right? You obviously, as soon as he comes in, you get the crowd activated. They want to see him get some minutes. Very surprised I didn't see that in this game. I know UNLV is a different team. To me, on the eye test, they're a different team than Colorado State, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you're talking about on the offensive side and the positives that he brings when he's actually in there. I think it needs to be a little quicker. It doesn't mean he's going to finish the game, but especially in that first half, if you're suffering through a drought and you need a little bit of a jolt, I'm curious to know. I don't think anybody pressed coach on that in the post-game presser. I'm curious to know if that's even what he
the
was
sad
thinking.
thing about it. The sad thing about this is it shouldn't come down to that, right? Where you got a preferred walk-on that should be coming into game to spark the team. I mean, these guys should, be doing that and creating that on their own. And so that's kind of a warning sign. But I mean, Chemo's a great player, and I absolutely thought he should have been. I'm a big advocate for him getting 8 to 10 minutes a game if our offense is not clicking. Because he gets in there, and what he does, he speeds up the game. He speeds up. We get more sets. We get moving. There's more energy. It's flat when he's, if he's not out there. And so, yeah, there's some guys on this team. I'm not going to, name names, but there's some guys on the team that we could probably give, their minutes to him. And, they need to start playing better to warrant minutes on the court.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. A lot going on. I'm liking the activity here in the chat, man. BJ has a nice stroke, needs more shots. Boyd handled the ball too much sometimes. Those are 3 capable wing players, Boyd, BJ, and Bird. I think a mixture of those guys handling the ball. Of course, foul trouble kind of dictates sometimes the lineups that you got in there and who you want paired up with who. But I think all the foul trouble has been in the front court for the most part. So free throws, Mikey B. Free throws is where we could really use Reese Waters. Dude hit 50 plus free throws in a row last season and got to the line often. I didn't even think about that. I didn't take that into account. That streak that Reese had last year was pretty awesome. that, I mentioned it last week that it was kind of low hanging fruit to say, boy, this is a game we could have really used Reese in. Well, he's been out the whole season. Of course, it's a game that we could have used him. I mean, we could have used him the whole season. So it's just one of those things. What can you say? He's from everything I read, he's being evaluated pretty soon. But
I think
I don't know what
tomorrow.
that
I think he's
means.
supposed to get. I thought it was the 22nd that he was getting like a CT scan or so, whatever the scan is on the foot. And so hopefully we'll get some good news, and he'll. But then that decision will be up to him to decide. Well, is it worth it to come back at this point, or do I want to save my final year? So I'm not gonna really. I'd love to have him back, but I'm not gonna bank on it until he makes that decision, and he's getting ready to come back.
Yeah, and whatever it is, you respect it. You respect it. And Mikey B, that's a great point though. Those free throws, we're talking about free throws. Woo, that's a big one. Andrew. Oh, Curry makes my blood boil. Bill says Fiend's not getting any Christmas presents from the refs in 2025. We don't want Christmas presents. We want some Easter presents. We want some what is it? Is that March or St. Patty's Day presents or something like that?
We just want a fairly officiated game. That's all. Just do your job.
Oh man, that balding ref Mike Harris really had it in for us. He went on a 7-0 run during our comeback. I like that. Angelica says you are not alone, Fiend. I can hear it. Michael Jackson song. You are not alone, Fiend. Angelica is there for you. She feels the same way, man. We all hating on the refs, dude. All hating on the refs. It was not. I'm not singing ever again. Don't worry about it, guys. I'm not singing ever again. Games like this make you question who is paying the refs. All right, we need to get off the refs. Let's talk some more basketball. The refs is too much. It's too much. Bill, Aztecs need to play harder all game. Calling it like it is. Get Bird and Boyd attacking the rim more often to get to the line. Big dudes need to get some tough twos inside. We should own 50-50 balls and play more like grown men. Now, I called out Heidi. Didn't really call him out, but I wanted to see him bring that Bill Laimbeer energy, and I think he's brought it. I think he has. But this game, it's one thing to bring the energy, but you still got to keep your focus. You still got to keep your wits about you. There were a couple areas where I think he did get the short end of the stick with the refs. I think they did. They were gunning for him on a couple of those plays. Wasn't fair necessarily. But to me, I think that, I love to see the energy, the activity, but I think there's still some learning, some growing on when's the right time to play aggressive in that manner. And it's tough, man. We got bigs. We got talented bigs. They need to go at the rim hard, go at the paint hard.
Yeah, Heidi's got to work on that hand-eye coordination. Maybe we can hook him up with like a juggling coach or something in the off season, so he can start juggling and working on the hand-eye coordination. So he's not fumbling the ball. And but we definitely need him to be more sure-handed. And when those passes come into him down low, he grabs it and he's right there. He's such a big body too. I mean, he can lay it up, he can dunk it. He's got skills. It's just, getting that ball and holding on to it so he doesn't lose it. Just got to do a little better job of that. But, I'm sure he'll work on that. That's something that he's got to work on, if he wants to keep staying on the floor. Andrew
says also jumping at way too many shot fakes. I think that's something that is kind of, how do you say it's a common thing with all the guys on the team right now. JK ties into this. Is any thoughts on Magoon's easy fouls that he draws? He does have time to grow out of it. I agree with that as well. I get it. He's one of the top shot blockers, and all the bigs are trying to block a shot. But there's much to be said for just altering a shot, getting in position, just making the shot difficult for the shooter. You don't necessarily have to block everything. I don't think that was a foul on Magoon when he got fouled out. I think that block was clean. I think the refs were, anticipating body contact and just ready to blow the whistle on those plays. And you got one of the top shot blockers in the nation, and they call that. It was that was ridiculous. But you do got to admit, they get caught up in the air too much, and I think Magoon is guilty of that for sure. It's something they've got to learn, and yeah, he's got some time to learn, but
Yeah,
you got to
he's
learn
got
quick.
he's got to stay in his lane too, from where and recognize where he's at right now in his development. I mean, getting the ball and trying to bring it up on the break. At 7 feet when you got guards around them. I used to see Zylan Cheatham do that all the time. It used to drive me nuts. It was like, dude, you're a big, like you're powerful. You don't have guard skills right now. But he thought he had guard skills, and so he would bring the ball up and he'd get it stolen all the time on the break. And seeing Goon, move the ball up, and it's like you just pass off to a guard. Let them handle the ball. You run the floor. Get to your spots, and that's how you're going to contribute. Trying to run the floor, and dribble 7 feet. He's not there yet. He will be there. I think he will be, but I don't think he's there right now. And so that's just a young player needing to recognize, hey, I got to stay in my lane, and I got to do what's best for the team. And that's the best thing to do is to give that to a guard to handle.
It's really tough because when you're talking about the young guys and, their maturity in the game, the way I always see things is like as a freshman, and in this case, like Mugun, for example, he's a redshirt freshman, right? So a little ahead of the curve when it comes to that. And I think he's shown that. I mean, he's impacted several games, several wins throughout this season. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got to give him that credit. The potential is there. He's shown it. But I generally like to think as a freshman, that's your year to come in and provide a spark, some energy, a player to just contribute, try to get in where you can fit in. As a sophomore, okay, if you're continuing to elevate your game naturally or continuing to improve as a sophomore, then you can start really coming in spurts and implementing yourself in the offense a little bit more, in the defense, kind of gaining those, the disciplines down within what the team is really trying to do so you can gain that value. As a junior, your game should be starting. You should be developing your shots, finding your spots and really honing in on those spots, nailing it to where you've got your shot down. You can go to your spots and consistently contribute. But as a senior, I mean, boy, as far as you can take it as a leader within the offense, defense, whatever have you, I think we got some guys that are ahead of the curve and then some that they're still trying to figure out, get in where they can fit in. And that's all part of the journey, right? We don't want to hear it. Like we said, we don't want to hear it. But it's all part of the journey. Everybody coming together. Different teams present different challenges. And right now in the conference, man, I mean, conference games are just, they're wild. Anybody could be anybody, it feels like, in the Mountain West.
Yeah, we got some tough games coming up, especially this week. At Air Force, no one likes to play at Air Force. Yeah, we blasted them at home, but playing at that elevation, and then that just takes the energy out of you. And then having to go to East Tahoe and play the in the Batcave. Hey, we saw that last year. That's a tough venue and tough place to play. And hopefully Mike will be there actually with some vocal encouragement for the Aztecs this time, not just sitting there in his seat, just observing and watching as a spectator, like bring a whistle or something to the game while he's there and in Nevada.
Yeah, those elevation games, they're going to get another chance at some of those elevation games and see how well they do. Good games to get your confidence back against Air Force. Hopefully, of course, like you said, it's not always easy. I mean, there's been some times we've seen some scoring droughts in some of those games. In the second half, they turn it on. You got to get yourself up for that game, right? Energy wise, like what Bill was talking about. So, yeah, man. I mean, if they could bring the energy, we've seen what this team could do. But
that would be a good game. That'd be a good game to get Chemo some minutes in both halves, I think. Because you extend the rotation a little bit because of the altitude, gives guys more of a rest. You have a larger rotation. I think that'd be a fantastic game to get Chemo, 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I think it would just help the offense overall kind of just get crisper, get sharper as a unit playing together. So, hey, we don't have all the answers. We just give our suggestions, just our 2 cents. We want to thank you guys for joining us. and listening to our 2 cents. Appreciate all your guys' feedback and all your takes. Bill, gotta love it. NBA great Bill Russell. You don't need to try block every shot, but you want your opponent to think you're going to block every shot. That's the intimidation factor that hopefully Goon learns. Very well said. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Goon's the type of guy, 7 feet with the long arms. He doesn't have to leave. He can leave his feet late.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to leave on the shot fake. He can leave when that ball is going up, and he's watching it release, and he comes up. And just keeping his arms up and, his body up, is going to be intimidating enough, but he doesn't have to leave his feet. That's where he gets into trouble, is when he leaves his feet.
And I'm sure it's nothing new that the coaches haven't spoken with him about, man. Super talented. I look forward to the growth and the maturity, but I feel like everybody that's just going to be what we need to realize right now, that this is a process, Where is that team that beat Houston? Well, they're there. It's still the same team. They're not playing like it right now. You just hope that by March. So, Fiend, let's just get into it really quick as we wind things down, because I know the standings are what they are. It's what can you say? This team is not, as I pull them up, we're looking at middle of the pack here, man. UNLV has leapfrogged us and Boise. And I believe UNLV and New Mexico square off this weekend. So that's going to be. What are we at
there? What place are we in?
We are in 6th currently.
Yeah. Like I said, 2017, we were 6th. We played. That's a playing game. If the season ended today, we'd be playing on Wednesday in the Mountain West tournament.
Now, the good thing is we have Boise at home, who's right above us, but also with 3 losses apiece with us. So we've got them at home. Colorado State, we still got to play. Utah, New Mexico, but, those are on the road. Utah State and Colorado State. So, yeah, man, anything can happen. It's still going to be a tricky path to get into the Mountain West Championship. As an overall look on the big tournament, legitimately, we are a bubble team now,
We're
right? How do you argue with that?
Yeah, we're bubblicious right now, definitely. You take a quad 3 loss, and that's going to put you squarely on the bubble. I don't think we're off the bubble yet, but we're there, so we can't really lose too many more games. I like to think of this team. I'm hoping this team is like a hurricane, where the hurricane goes through this period of rapid intensity, and we're playing great, and then all of a sudden then the eye kind of falls apart, right, and gets a little disorganized, and it's got to reorganize, and then it gets steam, and and then we get going again. And so that's what I'm hoping, is that we're sort of in that phase where we're just we're reorganizing right now, and we're going to get to a point where we are going to be like a really strong force, a strong hurricane blowing through the Mountain West on our way to the Mountain West Championships. I feel like
a strong hurricane just making our way to the Mountain West. Yes. Love the optimism. Well, man, hey, They've got to start this Wednesday, Air Force. I'm not sure what time that game is at. I want to say, 7 o'clock Pacific? Is that what it is? I think that's right. Those games in that mountain time zone can always be a little tricky.
Yeah, 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
7 o'clock Pacific time at Air Force on the Academy there in Colorado Springs. We were overconfident last game, but you got to be overconfident for this one. This is a must win. You have to win it on the road. You got to play well, and I don't see why they shouldn't. Just got to bring it. Just got to bring that energy. So make sure you guys tuning in, and I'm sure we'll have something to talk about after that game, because I don't know where I'm going to watch it, but we'll figure out something. Okay, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed our rants. Make sure you check out sonsofmontezuma.com for all of our articles, past episodes, and, of course, the NIL shop. and the Sons of Montezuma shop.
Bill O says Hurricane Dutch. I love it.
Great bobbleheads. Thanks to San Diego State, whoever made that possible there. Great bobbleheads.
Real quality.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys soon enough. Until then, be good to everybody you come across. Just be good. Be happy. It's going to be okay.
The refs?
All right, let me think about that one. SonsofMontezuma.com. Go Aztecs. Peace.
Go Aztecs. Beat Air Force and Reno.
Yeah.
Because they still suck.
See you guys.